I would check in on it, see how it's been developing, as it's been in early access for quite some time. It was originally slated to release in March 2023, however they wound up pushing that back and as of right now. There is no official release date for this, so it should be releasing sometime this year. As the original early access launch only had the first area of the game, or the first act if you will, out of a total of 3. The second one has since been added. The first area is largely what you would expect from a Wild West. It's a sort of dusty run-down mining town with a variety of locations around there, whereas the second chapter is more of a swamp area. But the thing about Blood West is that it obviously incorporates the supernatural, as I'm sure you have seen on screen here, which sees as facing off against various sort of Lovecraftian horrors as we search for the remains of these curses, so we can put and come to them, which might just let our character finally rest in peace. So beyond just the additional chapters, the biggest thing I would say here that's changed is largely just how flight everything feels. Compared to the last time that I played it, with a variety of gameplay tweaks and adjustments to how individual weapons things like that work overall, the game is feeling much better, and that's not even including things like all of the various new weapons that have been edited. So suffice to say, it does feel like the game is making some progress, even if it's been hanging out in early access for a significant period of time. Though beyond those things, I would say the core experience really has not changed much. The progression systems are largely exactly the same as you complete various side quests for the social NPC you will run into, or the skull totem, which is emulsion of souls that gives as your task we will gain the experience, which gives us levels. Every level we get those skills points to put into any of the skills you see here, which will make us slightly more effective at what we are doing. And as we explore, we will find various new weapons or special weapons, potentially even alongside things like a sorceress can be used to give a bonus as well. As typically a small drawback to our character, you can have up to 3 of those equipped, so both the atmosphere as well as the tangible rewards, or just finding better weapons or better accessories or just items you might need in creepy locations. Helps facilitate some of the exploration of the various zones, and you should definitely do some, because the level design in Blood West is actually pretty solid, with a lot of varying paths that will lead you towards the same goal, especially missions. Objectives, which is where some of the gameplay variations comes in, how I would say the game does kind of push you towards stealth a little bit, as the character we play as is relatively squashy, especially in the beginning, where you cannot really take a lot of damage without dying. So dying is not really a big deal, because we are in fact undead. When we die, we simply take a debuff which stacks up to 3 times. When we die and the 3, it becomes a full-blown curse, at which point we have to perform a small task for the skull totem to remove it. But all things considered, death really is not that punishing. The thing Blood West does the best is providing you an avenue from combating this sort of Lovecrafty and horrors, which still manage to be a pretty creepy despite the razor retro graphics, and still managing to make the exploration of the game pretty rewarding. So because of that, despite the game taking a bit longer than I think anyone would have liked it, with it being early access for more than a year, it is shaping up to be a game that's going to be, I think, pretty good, and one that I will certainly be reviewing if it ever actually realizes.